Hello and welcome to another video and podcast from Fantasy Football Scout. My name is Joe and today I'm joined by Fantasy Football Scout's Deputy Editor Tom Freeman, who will be revealing his Gameweek 28 team, withholding a transfer seeming likely as we look ahead to the blank game week. It's certainly likely for me, but it may not be for Tom. He may want to make a move because there's been some major developments over the weekend involving some injuries and suspensions as well. So what we'll do is we'll also look back at his Game Week 27, if we can remember back that far. And a lot of the focus will be on not just Tom's move for Game Week 28, but with Game Week 29 in mind, because some people will be playing the free hit, some people won't be. But whatever you're playing with, there's going to be striker issues. Welcome, Tom. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks, Joe. Yeah, suddenly there's quite a lot to talk about, isn't there? With flags, we both own Cunha. With that red card impacting our plans for blank game week 29. I've had a couple of other flags pop up as well over the weekend, with Lewis Hall being one of them. So yeah, still got, I've kind of got some rough plans in place, and it'll be good to chat through them here.
Definitely, yeah. So yesterday I was talking to FPL General. He's similar. He's going for his attitude is it just makes his head hurt, so he's not going to bother thinking about it.
Okay.
But yeah, we're going to talk about chip strategy, how that may have changed, and also 29 because it's a blank game week for a number of teams, including. And we were hoping to, I don't know about you, but I was hoping to captain Cunha that week. So I'm now possibly without a captain. So, but yeah, let's see how you got on in game week 27. And just a reminder, do press that like button, by the way. And do remember to subscribe, keep up to date with our latest videos and podcasts. Okay, so yeah, we're both on red arrows, both got very similar scores. Both still hovering in around the top 100k. You got 48 points. And yeah, do you want to just take us through your game week? And you made a transfer. Who came in and who left?
Yes, so I did Rodgers to Bowen with the one free transfer. But overall, it was a really poor game week. I think it was my worst of the season going on game week ranks. So 48 points in total. Went down from about 80k to 109k, I think it is now. So there's plenty of work to do. The defence actually did well last week. I mean, you can see the team on the screen now. Sell's got 6, Gabriel 7, Munoz 4, Alexander-Arnold 6, and then Collins with 1. So can't have too many arguments about that back line, but it was further forward. Nobody scored. I got a couple of assists and that was it. So Palmer obviously is the captain, blanked. 6 points. Semenyo got 1. Salah got the assist, so he got 6. Bowen got the assist, so he got 6. Trossard just got 3, and Cunha just got the 2. And then not much happening on the bench either. So it felt like a poor game week, Joe, because a lot of people. I guess this is the problem with me having an Undiai on the bench, is that a lot of people needed a good auto sub this week because Isak was out, and a lot of people had Kluivert coming off the bench and João Pedro and players like that. Umbomo and Wisa both combined, didn't they, for returns, and they're well owned. So yeah, it was a bad one. I'm just hoping that's out of the way now, and I've dropped kind of 30k places, but if you can drop that quickly, you can certainly go up that amount again. And it's very condensed around here now. So ideally, before I want to play all my chips, if I think I'm in a top 100k by that point, before I start playing the wild card and the bench boost and the triple captain to come, I'll feel like I'm in a reasonable position.
Yeah, I mean, it was I had Dango as my first sub, but he only got 2 points, but he could have got more. He had a high XG, so I don't particularly grudge that. But yeah, there were some people who were getting like Kluivert off their bench and things like that. I also did the Rodgers to Bowen move. I wouldn't have played Rodgers, although he would have come in as a sub, I guess. But I'm happier with Bowen. I think he's a really good asset for game of 29 and going forward. And I was pretty pleased actually because I got Areola in for Pickford.
Got the clean sheet.
So my Monday was much better. So I was looking at an absolute disaster, and then it was marginally not as bad.
Exactly the same for me, Joe, because I got Bowen, but I also had Fabianski in goal, and Sells was on the bench with the clean sheet. So I was literally watching the last 10 minutes of that game, praying that Areola didn't pick up a niggle. He didn't. So I suppose a really bad game week, but it finished on
Yeah.
a bit of a positive. So
Yeah, I mean, I personally went for Salah, and you went for Palmer, so that was another difference there.
yeah,
Just before we move on to, we're going to talk about strikers in a second, but talk about next week. I just want about the captaincy as well, because I did a big video on this. Well, not a big video. I did a video, but I did and add a big piece within that about captaining players against promoted sides, in general about promoted sides, and how unlucky Palmer was. He was desperately unlucky not to do, but he's been desperately unlucky. I think he's only got one return out of the promoted sides, 4 attempts this season, but his XG is higher than Salah, who's got about 5 or 6 returns against promoted sides. So Palmer can be unlucky. So we have the similar situation this week. It's almost worse decision this week because Salah plays Southampton and Palmer plays Leicester. So, my head actually says to put the armband on Palmer this week, but that's mainly because I think Salah might get reduced minutes because of the Champions League. But yeah. What's your feeling about the captaincy?
Well, I think by default it's gone on Salah because it's Southampton at home, and I don't think I necessarily need to overthink that. But I think we need to see the PSG game. If Liverpool have got a 2 or 3 goal lead going into that second leg, it might give you a bit more confidence to keep it on. To keep it on Salah and he'll play more minutes in that game. If it's kind of finely poised, then there is a potential for him coming off a bit early, but by that point you'd hope the damage is done, wouldn't you? But the problem is for Palmer is he got in some great positions in that game. Didn't he? He had 2 clear-cut opportunities, and it's just not quite happening for him. It didn't happen for him at Villa the week before, and for quite a while before that. So again, you're gambling on him coming back into form, and he's not at that level that we know he can be at the moment. So it's a bit of a risk, and because Liverpool have a much easier fixture than they did last week, I'm more inclined to give it to Salah now.
Yeah, definitely. And another point about Palmer is that if I was to get, say, Haaland in Gameweek 29, I'm not necessarily that set on that, but if I wanted to, it would have to involve getting rid of Palmer for Haaland as part of using 2 free transfers for that.
Yeah.
But the thing about Palmer is he plays Arsenal then. And if he does nothing against Leicester after blanking against Southampton, that's blanking in the 2 absolutely cast iron best fixtures you could possibly get, Southampton and Leicester, then I think a lot of people are going to think, I can get rid of Palmer. I don't need him. They might be down a play. They might, for me, I'd better field 11, even by getting rid of Palmer. Some people won't be. I don't think that will be the decision with you, but free hitters, for example, they might think, why should I have Palmer on my free hit even?
Yeah. I haven't really built I'm not free hitting in blank game week 29, and I need all the players I can get. I think I've only got 7 at the moment, and I need to get that up closer to 11. So I'm not in that luxurious position where I could even consider selling Palmer. I suppose the only concern with selling him is that you've got that Tottenham game in game week 30 at home, which is another good fixture for an attacker. But at the same time, you can probably say, well, if he blanks against Leicester, how many opportunities are you going to give him? Yeah. People might be thinking then, well, let's switch to Haaland. Haaland's got Leicester in that game week 30 at home. And I could if you're in a position where you can get 11 out, you've got free transfer to switch these players around, then I can kind of see why you would do that.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it probably would, with me actually, it would probably involve a hit. I would probably have to remove, but that's just my position there. But I just thought it'd be interesting because whatever people's position, the Haaland issue will become more come in front of our minds much more as Game Week 29 approaches. Yeah, and if Palmer does blank, it's a big if though. If Palmer does get a brace against Leicester, then most people will be minded to keep him, I think.
I think so.
Because I personally think blanking against Southampton and Leicester and your 11 million is actually unforgivable.
Yeah,
in FPL.
and it's not like he was kind of in good form before that either,
No.
though. This there has been a bit of a dip, but I suppose if you want to look at it in a positive, he's still getting the
Yeah,
chances.
yeah, definitely.
Just a quick apologies if you can hear the dog in the
No,
background
well,
going absolutely
it's,
mental.
you're
I
preaching
think some.
to the canine converted. It's only by a pure miracle my dogs aren't barking at the moment.
I think we've had a knock at the door, which I didn't hear, but something's disturbed her anyway. But hopefully
Okay.
she'll calm down in a minute. So
That will be very well. I'm sure mine will pep up in a minute. Okay, let's have a look at a table. We're looking at striker options. I've specifically looked at game week 29 there. So I've looked at my minutes per expected goal involvement, and I've done it by all matches because this one includes Evan Nielsen. Because if I did it by 6 game weeks, which I did for FPL General's table yesterday, it wouldn't have included him. Or in fact, he didn't because he's been injured. So he's just come back from injury. So we'll just go down the list there. Haaland, he's top minutes per expected goal involvement every 106 minutes. So he's been strong all season. 20 goals, 3 assists, 23 returns. Absolutely brilliant. But this isn't brilliant. 14.7 million. So he costs a lot. He's actually gone down in price, but still costs a lot. And he's got 162 points. Bearing in mind, Chris Wood, who is half the price, less than half the price, 170 points. So that's what you're dealing with there. So that's the issue. Haaland is undoubtedly the best striker. He's got Brighton. I don't personally think, given Brighton's form against the top teams at the moment, I actually don't think that's a great fixture for Haaland. So I don't know if I would captain him. However, Leicester game week 30, yes, yes, please. So yeah, Haaland. What are your thoughts on him? Because there's pretty much no way you're going to get him or could get him in. Would you?
would, but it would involve selling Salah, which I think is the position that a lot of people are in with it. Now, the only problem, it kind of depends on chip strategy, I think, that move. Now, I don't really want a wild card until game week 31, which means I'd go without Salah for game week 30 for the Merseyside derby.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if I want to do that. I'm not sure if that makes sense shifting funds around to that extent for Haaland just for those games. But I think if you can get to Haaland easily, I think it makes sense. I think Brighton and Leicester in back-to-back home games is obviously really, really good. I think if you can't get to him, there's a cheaper option on that list as well. But bit more of a rotation risk. He started 5 in a row, Mamouche, but there's always that kind of nagging doubt that Foden or De Bruyne could come in and take his place in a game. That's not really what we want ahead of game week 29.
So next name is Visser, even cheaper, 6.4. He's got 122 points, 6.4. Wow. 13 goals and 2 assists, 15 attacking returns. His matches against Bournemouth, so that's not the best, but Bournemouth have not been as good as they were. There's been a slight drop off, perhaps reverting to the mean a little there. This is still good option. Minutes per expected goal involvement every 137 minutes, and he's creating chances and getting shots inside the box. I think he's a good option. It's just those fixtures after game week 29 aren't so great, and I've got Brian Mbomo, for example. So I don't particularly want to double up. I mean, you don't have Brian Mbomo.
I don't. No.
So, you've got Cunha. This is sitting there staring at you. You don't particularly want a new midfielder, perhaps, and
it's either Wissa or Cunha. Wood coming in for Cunha. I think for me. And they're both obviously on this list. Wissa, I think, has a really good fixture against my team this weekend. On Saturday evening, home against Villa. We've only kept 3 clean sheets all season. We've got European matches on either side as well. So I think Wissa's best fixture, if you're going to move for him, get him now. Don't wait till 29. I think 28 is the fixture. And after that, it's Bournemouth and Newcastle away. And then I'll probably wild card after that. Not the best fixtures, but Brentford... the way they play, they can be effective on the counter-attack, and wouldn't surprise me if Wissa got a goal in those 2 games. So, under consideration, but I think I'd put Wood slightly ahead.
For wildcarding in 31, that's with a view, I would imagine, to bench boost in 33 and then preserve your free hit for 34 when the teams that double in 33 blank in 34. You've still got your triple captaincy left. So I'm presuming that would go on Isak in 32.
Yeah, hence the wild card in
Right.
31. Ideally, you want to play your wild card as close as possible as you can to your bench
Yeah.
boost. I certainly like
Yeah.
doing that. Hence, I have to play it in 31 and not
No.
32
So
because of the triple captain.
I'll probably play mine in 32, but there is, benefits playing in 31 as well because I've already used my triple captaincy.
You have, yeah.
But of course, it's different this time around. Previous seasons, we couldn't carry our transfers through these chips. You sort of use
Yeah.
it or lose it. But now we can. We can
Yeah.
use that. So I could perhaps save some transfers because it's. We'll talk about the fixtures in a sec, but it's tricky for us who were looking to wild cards, which is a lot of people before with a bench boost in 33 in mind,
Yeah.
because we have this double in 32. My team didn't do FPL managers a favour by beating Newcastle in the FA Cup, which means Newcastle are unlikely to double in
Yeah.
33. So that would mean if you load up on Newcastle, you're going to go into 33 with a bench boost with
Yeah.
single game week players, or you move them on.
Yeah.
Personally, I'm happy to Isak as a single game week player in 33.
Yeah. Yeah. What have you got? You've got in 30. So we've got the double, and then moving on after that, after Newcastle, after the double, you've got a Villa away match, haven't you, in game
Yeah,
week 33?
yeah,
Now, for an Isak, I wouldn't have a problem
no,
with bench boost in that.
no,
In if you've got a defender from Newcastle, though, and I'd probably
yeah.
prefer to be able to
Gordon,
move those on.
yeah,
Yeah, Gordon would be fine. I think. I think it's more the defenders going
yeah,
to Villa Park, so I'd
yeah.
expect us to score.
Also with Newcastle as well, go those players. I don't know if I'm going to load up that much on Newcastle and Palace.
Yeah,
Palace's fixtures are terrible. They got City and
yeah,
Newcastle away.
that's it. Yeah.
So I've got Henderson. So I've probably at the moment I don't even want any. I mean Munoz maybe, but they're still pretty bad fixtures.
Yeah, yeah, and then they follow it up with Bournemouth at home. So
Yeah,
again, an okay fixture, but it's not a great fixture
but
for a
it is
bench
a double
boost.
game week, and so the lure of
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
So I
that's
think
it.
maybe
Yeah,
Mateta, but
yeah.
that's about it. And then with Newcastle, if Hall's still injured, then you would think, well, do I go for Pope in goal? But Dubravka could easily replace him. He's looked better, to be honest. It's a real tough one. And then you've got Gordon as well, who'll be back. So I think for me, it could just simply be Mateta, Gordon, and Isak.
Yeah, a couple from each, maybe. Yeah, I mean, I got Munoz already. And I think the appeal with Palace is that Southampton fixture in game week
Yeah.
30.
Oh yeah, that's good.
So I think some people will move a bit earlier for their players and benefit from that fixture, hopefully. But yeah, the double away at City and Newcastle, it's not a great double at all, is it?
No.
And we just got to be careful. And it's something which, when I start to properly build drafts, I'm really going to have to consider with that bench boost after, because you don't want to be too loaded up on them. Because then it kind of negates the impact of the bench boost.
Something I've been considering, and this is the bench boost seems best to play in 33 as the biggest double, but it's actually the worst in a way because you can now use transfers to get your Newcastle and Palace players who you don't particularly want after that, and then just go into 33 with a wild card, just wild card into that double, use the free hit in 34, and then have to use the bench boost another time.
Well, yeah, I have been looking at other possible windows where you could bench boost. Ideally, you want to do it in a double, but I have had success in the past picking a good single
Yeah.
game week, and I've done okay with it. I'm not really in a position to be able to plan though at the moment, Joe, because we're everything's going towards blank game week 29.
Yeah.
Those FA Cup ties, some of them are so evenly balanced. Like your Brighton game is so difficult to call, and some of the others as well. So it's very difficult to plan at this moment in time. At least I'm finding it that way.
Well, definitely, Palace could double in 33, but their game against Fulham is probably the toughest of all to call. They're really similar type teams in terms of their quality at the moment in the Premier League. Anyway, we're digressing away from the striker options,
Yes.
but I guess you need to discuss these things. Chris Wood's next. He'd be probably top of your shopping list, 7.2.
I think so.
You know my feelings about Chris Wood. I play him every well, he's been in my team. Whether I've played him every week is another matter, but I've had him
Yeah.
for ages, and
And
he's brilliant.
I don't think the fixtures, City at home isn't great, but would it surprise me if Wood
No,
scores? Not
no,
at all.
no.
Then it's Ipswich, then it's Man
Yeah,
United, two of the worst defences since the turn of the year.
yeah,
So I think their fixtures are probably
yeah.
better for Wood than you initially think when you glance at the
Yeah.
ticker.
At the moment, I think he'd be my captain. I prefer
Yeah,
him
well,
away to Ipswich than any City player against Brighton.
I think he'll probably be mine as well.
Even Nielsen's next, Bournemouth, from Bournemouth. He's definitely come into the equation now. He's starting a bit, certainly getting minutes. Utara could be moved out to the wing or just replaced entirely by Evan Nielsen. But yeah, over the season, he's got 4 assists, 5 goals, but from 17 starts, which is marginally fewer, much fewer than the others there. And his XG has been his minutes per expected goal involvement every 177 minutes, which is pretty strong. Better than Chris Woods, not better than Marmouche, not as good as Visser and Haaland. So he is an option. I've seen a lot of people considering him. And Bournemouth are third in the fixture ticker. They've got Tottenham next, then Brentford, Ipswich, West Ham, and Fulham. It's a really good
Good.
run.
Yeah, the only concern with him is that where is he at in terms of his fitness? Like I know he played like what was it, 65 minutes or something like
Yeah,
that at the weekend. Is he going to like start every game now and come off early, or is he going to be managed? Is he going to kind of sit the odd game out? Because Dango's done pretty well up front, hasn't he?
yeah,
There's a bit too much uncertainty for my liking with it, but I do agree the fixtures are really good, aren't they? Like Tottenham away is a brilliant fixture for an
yeah,
attacker. Then you've got Brentford at home,
yeah,
Ipswich at home, and then I'll probably wild card. But it just feels like I know what I'm getting with Chris Wood and Wisser and players like that. And I don't know blank game week 29 when I
yeah,
need those reliable minute
yeah.
men. He doesn't quite fall into that bracket for me at the moment.
And final name is Marmouche, 7.2. He's only really had one good game. It's a 17-pointer and blanked for the rest. But he's only had 5 starts, so a small sample size. But his minutes per expected goal involvement every 208 minutes. He always looks good. He has got that 17-pointer. So it's nice to know to have that security of a player that's capable of getting, a huge haul. But he has blanked in the remaining fixtures.
Yeah.
I think realistically, Cunha is going to go for Marmouche in Game Week 29 for me,
Yeah.
because I think Haaland is involving hits and it
Yeah.
involves removing too many other good players, whereas Cunha to Marmouche is just done. I can afford that.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't, looking at this table, he doesn't shoot very often in the box, 4 shots in the box in 5 starts. But he's on corners and free kicks. So
Yeah,
that assist potential
yeah,
somewhat balances that out.
yeah.
And I think if you haven't got Haaland, having Marmouche in your team, it might just be a bit of a comfort blanket,
It is definitely.
So,
Because it also means I could use another transfer to get Gvardiol, for example, or
yes.
Savinho is another, or
Yes.
Sabio, as he's,
It's a good point. So, okay, I haven't got Haaland, but I'm going to attack those fixtures
yeah,
by going with 2 cheaper
yeah,
options, not just one Mamouche,
yeah.
and then maybe a Guardiola who's got attacking threat as well. So I kind of like that. And I think that for my team, that's probably the route that I'd go down.
Let's have a look at next week. Do you want to just quickly run through your
Yeah.
team, what you're deciding? You've got quite a few. I mean, it's a good 11, but you've got players on the bench as well. So, yeah, are you looking to hold this week or, yeah?
Do I need to read my team out,
Oh, no,
Joe?
I mean, I'll tell
Or
you what,
not?
I'll quickly read it out and then you just tell
Yeah,
me what your
go on.
decisions are. Cells, and you've got a 4-4-1 with Munoz,
Yeah,
Alexander Arnold, Gabriel, Lewis Hall, if he's fit. You've got Collins to come in off the bench if not. You've got Salah with the armband, Bowen, Palmer gets the vice captaincy, Trossard, Semenyo, and Isak up front. Meanwhile, on the bench, you've got Fabianski, Collins. Collins will be your only playing sub, and you've got Ndai and Cunha who are red
yeah.
flagged.
Yes. So I'll either I'm definitely going to make a transfer. So then Hall, who is currently
Okay.
flagged, can come out of the starting 11 and I can bring somebody in. Um, it's either going to be Cunha to Wood or I'll do Hall to 8 Nore, which also helps me
Okay.
towards game week 29. Then the decision next week will be do I go Haaland or don't I go Haaland? I think it's looking unlikely at the moment because if I do go Haaland, I have to sell Salah. It means missing out on Salah
Yeah.
in game week 30. Don't like it as much.
No.
So I think probably probably what I would do is take out like Alexander Arnold and maybe Undiai next week,
Yeah.
and then move them on to a new defender and maybe Mamouche, something like that.
Yeah.
That it feels easier to do that in my team.
Mm-hmm.
It might mean that I only have 10 in blank game week 29.
Mm-hmm.
If I take a -4, I think to get 11 out, I'd always been counting on Undiai coming back and being fit, but I think that's very unlikely now,
Yeah.
given that the game's on the 15th of March. So might have to play with 10, but I don't think that's
No.
the end of the world. There's so much uncertainty with these fixtures. I think going into that stretch with the free hit will be more beneficial to me than playing it now.
Indeed.
So
Indeed.
that's where I'm
Well,
at.
well, good luck with the game week. Good luck with your decisions. It looks a better game week for your players this week.
I hope so.
And so good luck with that, and good luck with those decisions in Game Week 29. We'll be back again next week to firm up some of those Game Week 29 plans, and we'll see how you got on in Game Week 28. Take care. Thanks a lot for your time. See you soon.
Thanks, Joe. Bye.